Alright, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. This story right here today is about a 21-year-old monster, okay, that was let loose in Jamaica. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and let's get right into the story. Before we talk about the monster, let's talk about the victims. So the victims get some identity revealed, and we don't just do the story and they are unknown, right? First of all, a story broke that says Manchester, Jamaica, and it said that the police were probing the murder of a man whose body was found with what appeared to be gunshot wounds in Kendal, Manchester, on a Thursday afternoon. A relative came and identified the deceased as 21-year-old Sunil Mushet, a resident of Comfort District in the parish, that is in the parish of Manchester. Preliminary reports are that about 5 p.m. residents were chilling at their yard when they heard bow, 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 loud gunshots, explosions. They said, "Oh my God, somebody is shooting up the place." They called the police. The police came shortly after, and Mushet's body was subsequently found about 50 meters away from Kendal Boulevard Main Road on Wendalco Private Road. Statistics from the police shows that up to that particular time on that December 5th of that year, Manchester had recorded 49 murders since the start of the year, compared to 32 the previous year. If we fast forward to today, we will see that things have not gotten any better. That was 2022. This is 2023. Okay? And the reason why we're talking about it in 2023 is because the killer has been caught. The killer is in court. The killer stands before a judge and jury, and the killer is sentenced. May this young man's soul rest in peace. And this is him, his face, what he looks like. That is one of this 21-year-old monster's victim. The other news entities that covered the story, I kept reading the comment section, and there were young people on the comment section saying, "Jesus Christ, 21 and moving like that, with a hardened criminal mind and a heart as cold as that? I'm 21. I just got to college. I got myself enrolled." Another person said, "I just moved out of my parents' house, got my first apartment, blah, blah, blah." Shout out to the young people out there, 21, 20, 19, 18, that are doing the right thing. Regardless of whatever circumstances your background might have looked like, regardless of whatever suffering you might have gone through, right? You're not going to allow your environment to swallow you up and determine who you become. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please. Welcome back to the channel. This one is his second victim that he was convicted for. This story said a cookshop operator was killed and her husband was injured in a Manchester gun attack. You notice that the first one was a Manchester thing as well. So that means this 21-year-old was raining terror on a certain area in Jamaica. Or he got caught for only this one. He was probably raining terror in other parishes as well. For those of you who don't know what a cookshop is, it kind of says it with the name. You have restaurants and then you have a cookshop. A cookshop is a restaurant, but you can't really sit and dine inside of it. You go, you get your food and take away. But it's somebody inside of a little shop and they're cooking food and passing it through the window or out front or however they do it. Usually some of the best places to eat in Jamaica, because sidebar, big up Jamaica for the cook shop and big up the cook shops them. When I'm in Jamaica, I make sure I eat from cookshops. Reason being, I've found cookshops that are run by families, and all the food and the resources that are served from that cookshop is raised right out of the ground, the earth, behind the cookshop. And usually they live somewhere close to their business as well. It's not like these commercialized restaurants where the food is imported. Sometimes the food even gets shipped to some of these commercialized restaurants half done already. All they have to do is pop it in the oven and then serve it to you as if they cooked it there when they didn't. Right? Right. So I love cookshop. Now, the cookshop story got me big time, because here is somebody who's trying to do something good, an entrepreneur within the community, trying to serve a purpose and at the same time make a living, right? And Catherine Matthews was doing just that. And then she was just stalked, preyed upon, and gunned down by this 21-year-old monster. Here's her story. Manchester, Jamaica again. A cookshop operator was killed and her husband was injured in a shooting incident on a Friday night as the couple walked home from their business in New Green, close to Mandeville. This was after they had finished for the night, serving the community all day, making their little money. Time to close up your business and walk home. Don't need to take a cab, no need to ride a bike, no need to use any transportation. We can walk foot, kick rocks down the road because we live right there. Thinking they're safe in their own community. Police named the deceased woman as Catherine Matthews, who is a resident of New Green. Preliminary reports that came out said that about 10:30 p.m. the couple closed up their cookshop in New Green Square and they were walking to their nearby home when they were attacked by gunmen who opened fire on them, hitting them. The attack happened about 100 meters away from the cookshop. The woman reportedly sustained gunshot wounds to the head, while the man was reportedly shot in the shoulder only. Run. He must run for his life. Leave his wife. She was shot multiple times in her head. Both of them were rushed to the hospital where she was pronounced dead because she succumbed to her injuries. Residents also claimed that the handbag belonging to the woman was also stolen during that whole shooting incident. I guess they said the money that was made for the day was in that handbag. One person said, a 4 shot, me hear, 4. The woman gets shot in her head. The husband gets shot too, They could have just robbed them, and go and leave them, said one resident. Why they had to kill them? A senior police source had said investigators theorize that the woman was being targeted, and this is the end result of her being targeted. Sad situation, man. One person said, this is a nation in turmoil. Another person said, Jesus Christ, they could have just robbed them. Until we stop shielding and protecting these criminals, this will continue to be the norm. And we seem to be the most hard-headed people on earth. We never learn. Well, when the knock is on your door, it will be too late. The reason these criminals continue to wreak havoc here is simple. They are fully aware that they are being protected at all costs by those who know what they are doing. And very same people will twist themselves into knots trying to justify their actions. Me fear for my life. No, you don't. If you did, you would want to rid the community of these types of people. Enough of my business, another one says. It is not your business until it knocks on your door and sits on your doorstep. I'm afraid of the police, another one says. That's a blatant lie. You have no fear of the police. You are fully aware of the multiple channels that you can give information anonymously to those same police. Informer for dead. Who is dying? Is it the informer or is it John Public that's dying? We can continue the hypocrisy, or we can decide one day that enough is enough, and the ball have been and will continue to be in our court. This is what Demuson said. Another person named Saint said that, boy, this one look like robbery still, as the person said. They could have just robbed them and left them, And I've said that before. Rob me, but rob me and leave me with my life. So whatever you robbed me for is material things. I'll go make that again. Hell, you might have a chance to even rob me again and get some more of what you got before. Or even get better things next time. But you rob somebody of something that is not even valuable enough to last you or sustain you for a day. What did you get? Enough money to get some food for about 2 days? Enough money to probably buy a pair of shoes and a shirt? And you took a life? And you tried to take 2 lives? In a gruesome manner, shoot the woman in her head multiple times. Now the cook shop is no longer there. And you know how people are in Jamaica about their food, right? If Miss Bessie can cook, and Miss Bessie make the best oxtail, or Miss Bessie make the best jerk chicken, or the best brown stew, Miss Bessie is a staple in the community. That's somebody you want around for a long, long time. But these young vipers, they value nothing and nobody. Operation Chaos says, boy, your life is a threat. Just trying to be a good citizen. No uproar, because they are not big time business owners. The criminals are allowed to roam free and make life so miserable for everyone else who are going the right way and doing the right thing. Another person named Scandinavia says, we the black race, we are a wicked race to our own race, especially among the poor and the ignorant ones. The former slave masters dealt with us accordingly, so that we had a murder rate next to none prior to the so-called independence. I want y'all to think about this. Some of these comments hold things that are very true. If somebody said y'all did better in slavery than after you were slavery was abolished and you were free, because you weren't killing yourself off or killing your kind off during those periods during slavery, because slave master valued you because you were a piece of property. So he had to spend a lot of money to get you and then use you. It's like a car. You buy a car, or you buy a donkey to work a field. You don't go abusing the donkey like killing it. You have to go buy another one. And then out of that came us. And here we are. So this person says, we are the black race, are a wicked race of people to our own, especially among the poor and ignorant. The former slave masters dealt with us accordingly, so that we had a murder rate next to none prior to the so-called independence. Back then, if you killed someone, your life was taken away as well by the hangman, or what they call the gallows. I am not a lover to colonial rules, but if the island was still under such rules, these dirty gunmen murderers on the island, they would not have existed at all. They exist after independence because of bad governance and corruption. We Jamaicans were law-abiding, loving people until this so-called independence happened. And there are a lot of people here who say, I share the similar sentiment to what you just said. Sylvia Griffin said, once you're doing something to help yourself to become somebody better, you become a target. This is why return residents also have a target placed on them. Yeah, man, him did over foreign. I make money for years. New York, them man, they live enough for the last 20 years and move, come back here, them have money. Run up into the house. Say a nice car him drive. That crab in a barrel, eat each other mentality. Derek Henney said, set up. Who remember the teacher who was killed by a gunman and her husband escaped injuries? Well, he was charged later. Could this be a similar story? And you might have a point there, Mr. Derek Henney. I'm not going to add insult to injury though, because no such thing was found yet anyways. But I found it quite suspicious how they were pounced upon by multiple gunmen, including this 21-year-old savage that I'm speaking about. And the wife gets 2 in her head, while the husband just gets shot in the shoulder. Anyhow, those were his 2 victims. And let me just say that may Catherine Matthews rest in peace, and my condolences to her family, and my condolences also to Sunil Mushet's family, the 2 victims of this savage. Now let's get into the story of this savage and what happened according to the law in Jamaica. It says that a 21-year-old man who killed a man and a woman, the 2 I just told you about, and then wounded 2 other separate people in 2 other separate shooting incidents between last December, that is 2022, and July of 2023. He was, on this day, this afternoon, sentenced to life in prison with the order that he serves 23 years and 6 months in prison before he is eligible for parole. Now, mind you, the law is fully aware that this young savage murdered 2 people and wounded with intent to kill 2 others and has a bunch of other felonies. Ask me how he ends up with a life sentence, but the conditions of his life sentence says after 23 years, he can go before the parole board and he'll be looking to get out. He's only 21. So if you add 21 and say he gets out in 23, then he will be what, 44? Still young enough. Still a hardened criminal after 20 plus years in prison if he doesn't change his ways to come out and continue his reign of terror. DeAndre Grant is his name. A construction worker of Belfield District, Manchester. A Canaan Heights in Maypen, Clarendon. He pleaded guilty before the courts earlier last month on an indictment which had 13 counts on it. So this brother was very active. This little savage was very active. 13 counts. The charges that laid out before them in the courtroom consisted of 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of wounding with intent, 6 counts of making use of a firearm to commit a felony, and 3 counts of assault with intent to rob. Justice Leighton Pusey, the judge that handed down the sentence, accepted the sentence recommendations. The sentence recommendations were handed down by the Director of Public Prosecution, but credited Grant for the 6 months he spent in custody. You have to wonder what is going on in Jamaica and why would the Department of Public Prosecution think that after a person takes 2 lives and tried to take 2 more that they failed at taking, wounded with intent, and then did a whole bunch of other robberies and so on and so forth, which they have proof of, that this little menace should be let back out anytime soon. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you 100% that if this was in the United States of America, that a 21-year-old savagely ran up on a working woman running her business in the community and shot her twice in the head, and then tried to kill her husband as well, and is also responsible for killing another person with no aggravated reason, you would be in prison for the rest of your life without the possibility of parole. Jamaica neither has prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. So criminals like these who commit these acts, they know they're not going to die, and they also know that they're not going to stay in prison forever. What does that do? It empowers them to continue to be savages. Grant, he was given 2 life sentences for the murder of 21-year-old Sonia Mouchette and Catherine Matthews, the 2 individuals we just spoke about. The judge, however, ordered that he would only serve 20 years and 6 months for Matthews' murder, but granted the DPP's recommendation parole period be 24 years in respect to other murder. Justice Pusey said that the sentence was reasonable, given the fact that Grant went on a rampage after the first murder. I don't know what that is supposed to mean. I don't know if they're punishing him because he went on a rampage, or they're taking it into consideration that he lost his mind after committing the first murder and went on a rampage. Either way, it makes no sense. Consequently, he was ordered to serve 23 years and 6 months before being considered for parole. Now, Grant was further sentenced to another 20 years, each for 6 counts of gun charges, 15 years each for the wounding charges, 10 years for the assault with the intent to rob charges. So 20 plus 15 plus 10. This guy should have plus 24, plus 20. He should have been serving about 80 years in prison. But Justice Pusey, during the sentencing, remarked that these serious offenses were more notable because of the young man's age, and further, that the circumstances of the woman's murder was particularly worrying, given that no motive was stated for the attack. They just saw her, knew she worked in the community, wanted the money that she made that day, so they shot her twice in the head and took the money. So the judge is saying that's worrisome, that's worrisome. The judge, however, noted that among the factors considered in arriving at this lenient sentence, where Grant's guilty plea, because he got up in court and says, I'm guilty, his fairly young age, the judge took into consideration, saying he's too young, he could be rehabilitated still, let's not throw him away forever. Mind you, this is a judge taking into consideration reasons to not sentence this person to too many years. How could you not want to sentence a person to too many years when this person savagely took away lives with no aggravating factor? In other words, these people weren't bothering him. This wasn't a self-defense thing. This is you waking up one day, pick up your gun and say, yo, me I gonna rob that woman here today. And I might kill her in the process too. If she dead, I don't care. And then proceeds to put 2 gunshots in a hard-working woman's head. And you as a judge think a lenient sentence is okay because he's still young and you see rehabilitation ahead before you even see punishment. Crazy. Another thing that these savages understand in Jamaica is that if they go to court and plead guilty, their time automatically gets cut in half, right? So you will stand before a judge and you will hear the judge say, 10 years for this, 5 years for that, 20 years for this, 30 years for that, 15 years for this. And then you will hear the judge start to take some of the years off. I'll take off 10 because he's still young and rehabilitatable. I'll take off another 10 because he pled guilty. I'll take off another 5 because he that. So you hear the years go up and you're thinking, yes, justice is being done. They're going to put this animal away forever. And then you hear the years start getting stripped back for crazy reasons. Nobody considers the woman who got up and worked hard every day, built her business within the community, and survived on her own. She wasn't out begging a handout. She wasn't out doing criminal activities to survive to pay her bills. She was working alongside her husband, and she was killed in this manner. The judge said his fairly young age and the fact that he pled guilty are deciding factors, and the social inquiry reports and the submissions of both the DPP and the lawyer, Paul Gentles, the Department of Public Prosecution, their recommendation to give him just a little bit of time. These are the same people who recommended that Vybz Kartel, international superstar dancehall reggae icon Vybz Kartel, deserved at least 35 years before he was eligible for parole in a case where they had no body. They have no concrete evidence that Kartel was involved in that. They botched up his trial. Remember, the cell phone the police officer took from the evidence room, brought it home with him, used it for his own good, admitted to doing so, returned it to the evidence room. Yeah. These are the same people. But yet they look at this man on a double murder where they have all the bodies and other wounded victims of this individual where they have all the proof. And they think after 23 years, you could go before parole board. It's crazy. Now, in the first murder incident, Grant and his company shot and killed 21-year-old Sunil Mushet, which the law found out that it was them that did it. Sunil's nickname was Shine. Shine was a construction worker of Comfort District, Manchester. On December 8th of 2022, they took his life away around 4 p.m. in the late afternoon. Mushet was murdered, like we said before, along Kendall Bridge in the parish. In the second murder incident, which occurred on March 3rd of 2023, Catherine Matthews, the chef, who ran the cookshop, a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, a chef in her own business of New Green District, Manchester, and her common-law husband. This is the case when they were walking home after they had finished their day and locked up their business, and they were pounced upon by this 21-year-old savage and his friends. And the hoodlums opened fire, hitting them, and the end result was Catherine died. Grant struck again at a plaza. This 21-year-old maniac, menace, he struck again at a plaza in Mandeville on March 6th of 2023, where 2 security guards were attacked by 3 men, one of whom was armed with a handgun. The attackers then restrained one of the 2 security guards and demanded money. Grabbed him by the neck. Hey, come here, at gunpoint. Find the money. Give me the money. This crime was actually caught on videotape. The demands were not met because they didn't get the money, and the security guards started tussling with them. However, the perpetrators fled after the gun went off because he was trying to shoot to kill the security guard. Grant's last victim, a mini-mart and bar operator, was shot and injured July 20th at 12:45 a.m. after hosting an event. This individual, we won't show their faces or anything because the security guard that was hit, he made it, and this person, the minibar operator, made it as well. These are the 2 shooting with intent because he intended to kill, just as he had killed the 2 others before. Following a series of incidents and police investigation, Grant was arrested on August 2nd, not in Manchester. He was all the way in Westmoreland, and he was arrested in Westmoreland in relation to a separate incident again. He was later handed back over from Westmoreland to the Manchester police. And these charges were laid against him on the 4th of October of 2023. And the justice system decided to wrap it up before the new year. So, based on the fact that he pled guilty so early, or the fact that he pled guilty right away, it was boom, 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 sentence, off you go to prison with a light sentence. And like I said before, this savage will be back out on the road again in a few years to come. This is crazy. DDT says Grant's last victim, a mini-mart and bar operator, was shot and injured on July 20th at 12:45 a.m. after hosting an event. That was his last victim. Also, he's not serving a life sentence. He'll be doing 24 years at the max. What happened to the 40-year minimum sentence? Legislators, didn't they just have the gun laws that says 15 years for a gun that is just in your possession, that is not registered to you? Didn't they just say 40 years or 50 years for murder at a minimum? And then they go ahead and have him serve 20 plus 24, 23 max. Even Jamaica's laws, they walk back on themselves. IWAS says, how is this even possible? Why should admitting something you are guilty of redound to such a drastically reduced punishment? It's bad enough that he's not sent to the gallows, but 23 years? 23 years for killing 2 people? Plus committing other crimes and wounding others, terrorizing others? Justice is a fantasy, a mere fantasy on the island of Jamaica. Why must we copy the legal practices from the US and Europe? And now we march forward towards becoming a republic with a severely damaged moral compass. What is the deterrent to murder in this country? Well, first of all, there is no deterrent because, like I said before, every criminal knows that if they go to court and plead guilty, they're automatically get slashed in half. And then, of course, the judge is going to take into consideration all other kinds of things. And Jamaica has no death penalty. And it also has where you get your sentence slashed in half for pleading guilty. And it also has a bunch of other incentives for criminals to say, I'll be okay if I get caught. Check it out. This person says, why is Jamaica following the US? Let me end this video by saying this. Jamaica is not following the US. Jamaica is following itself, and it's falling down on itself because of that. I wish they would follow the US. You cannot show me not one case in the United States of America where a 21-year-old robbed a business owner, shot a woman business owner 2 times in her head, and shot her husband, and then murdered somebody else, an innocent victim who was just walking home from work. And that person only got 23 years because they pled guilty. You cannot show me that. This plead guilty stuff and get a discount on your time stuff, that doesn't happen in these types of cases. Maybe in a robbery. Maybe in a robbery where you and 4 other people did a robbery and they only caught you, but they wanted the other 4. Maybe in a big drug operation where you're the small fry, but they want the kingfish, the big steak, the big kahuna, the person, the plug. And they know that they can flip you to get to that person. So deals are worked out. But you're not shooting no woman in her head twice and then killing somebody else. And then shooting a security guard who managed to survive. And then shooting a business owner, an event hoster trying to rob them after their event because you thought the event made some money, you are a menace. And America is never going to give you no 20 years for that. But I'll leave this right here. I said it before, I'll say it again. We are raising a nation of traumatized children that will become a menace to society as young adults if they do not get the proper avenues and help needed to process all this violence that is steadily fed to them, both visually and through the ears. I'm going to leave this one right here. Catch you on the next video. Answer my question though in the comment section. Do you think that 23 years is justifiable for taking the life of these people in the manner in which this person did? Do you think it's okay that he gets to walk out of prison at 40-something years old? Young 40-something at that? Not 49 and tomorrow he's 50. Young 40-something. He'll be about 42, 43. I'll catch you in the next comment, in the next video. I'm out. Peace.